The Shining in your freezer?
Oh, I was reading it last night and I got scared. This is like the scariest book ever. I bet it's way better than that classic of yours.
Really?
Okay. Well, we'll just see about that, okay? I will read The Shining, and you will read Little Women.
All right, you got it.
All right?
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stephen King.
Stephen King
Stephen King
The king of horror.
is one of the best, if not the best author I've ever read.
You guys know why The Shining is so good. I don't need to tell you.
The atmosphere with this one, the Overlook Hotel.
Absolutely horrifying, terrifying, so good. The Shining, like what a classic.
Before I get into The Shining, I thought I would warm up my horror tolerance by reading something else of Stephen King. Or maybe I'm just delaying the inevitable. Losing sleep. The first book I'm gonna read must pass these 3 rules. Rule number 1, both books cannot be old. If The Shining is old, then the other one must be new. Which sucks because I really wanted to read it. Rule number 2, the book must not be part of a series. I didn't know that Stephen King writes series, but here we go. But yeah, shame, because I was gonna go for The Outsider. Rule number 3, the book has to be categorized as horror. Haley Pham was actually raving about Billy Summers, but I guess I'm gonna read that another time. After hours of searching the book, because there aren't many options based on the rules I made up, I am pleased to announce that I picked... That's right! We have a winner! It's not as scary as the other books, but like I said, it's just a warm-up. Calm down. This book is actually categorized as horror, but judging by the synopsis, I don't see it. This book follows a boy named Luke Ellis who's like really, really smart for a kid. One day he was kidnapped, his parents are murdered by these shady people in black SUVs, and he was taken to this place called the Institute where he meets other kids with similar abilities as him. See, the thing is, he is a special boy. He has supernatural abilities. And then we follow another POV of this dude named Tim. I forgot his last name, but he's Tim. And long story short, he's gonna be the one who's gonna help Luke and the other kids get out of the Institute, because the Institute is a very, very bad place. I'm currently on page 413. So far the book is really good, but there are some parts in the middle that I find boring. I didn't engage as much. The pacing is actually quite slow, but it didn't feel like it. It's so heartbreaking that the kids have to face all this. I mean, I can imagine an adult being kidnapped and brought into the Institute to do stuff on them, and they would get severely traumatized. If an adult can get severely traumatized because of that, how much more the kids? It's sad that the children are treated like animals. We start off with Tim, right? The guy I told you. It's only this first section, and then the rest is Luke's point of view. And then we get to a part where these characters intersect, and I gotta say, when that part happens, I felt relieved. Because Tim is a cop, a good man, a good cop. And Luke and the other kids are so innocent. They just have to be set free. Like, I get they have supernatural abilities and it's out of the ordinary, but still. Like, I swear, in the book, they would slap the kids if they misbehave, and then if they cry, they would make them shut up in a very non-comforting way. And then if they show some signs of, I guess, being in pain or any negative emotions, they would say stuff like, "You are such a brat. Why can't you be grateful? We are offering great services here. You are being fed. We provide you with the most comfortable room that is the exact replica of their old bedrooms before they were kidnapped." You know, they would gaslight them, basically. And then the Institute gives them access to unhealthy coping mechanisms. They offer the kids alcohol and cigarettes to calm themselves down. They have no other choice but to grow up rapidly, mentally. It's so sad. I mean, they're at a time and place where, you know, they should grow up and live their life, but no. I don't get why this book is underrated. Like, I had to dig deep to find this book, and I'm glad I did, because the book is really good. I understand now why the book is a slow burn. All the children's abuse, all the oppression, because at the end, when the tables are turned, it's so satisfying. A slow burn can be a hit or miss. It's a hit for me, except for the train scene. The boring part for me is the train scene. Not a spoiler, because you can literally see it in the cover. I find it boring probably because there are a lot of train station jargons that I don't know of. And at the time, I thought, you know what, I'll just rely on context clues. But no, if you need visual aid, just Google what the words mean. It's not that hard. Normally, Stephen King's books are really thick, at least 500 pages long, which is new for me because I normally would read around 200 pages. But it didn't feel long because a lot of the chapters are only 2 to 4 pages long, so it doesn't feel as daunting to read a thick book. I love how their psychic powers are realistic, and by realistic, I mean their powers are still weak, and it takes a while for them to figure out how to use their psychic abilities. Whereas normally in movies, those who have psychic abilities are really, really powerful, and it didn't take them a long time to figure out how to use it. The ending, I feel like, opens up a possibility for Stephen King to make a sequel. I don't know if he will, because it looks like the ending has some unfinished business. All right, okay, so I guess it's time to read The Shining. I used to be obsessed with reading short horror stories. I don't know, it's entertaining, it keeps me awake. One time in high school, I got so bored in the middle of class, so I pulled out my phone and I read a bunch of short horror stories on Wattpad. The subject was religion, by the way. I know. I'm sorry. All right, I'm definitely not stalling. All right, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm ready. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. Am I intimidated of reading The Shining? What? Hey, you don't have to stare at me like that. The Shining is a story about a man named Jack Torrance, and he got this job at this Overlook Hotel, and so he moved in with his family, his wife Wendy, and their son Danny. It's a very secluded and isolated place way up in the mountains, and his job there is to just look after the hotel for a little while for the winter time. It's not open around that time because it's, I forgot why. Point is, it's not open. As the story goes on, we get to see Jack slowly and surely losing his mind. I am currently in page 243, and I think it's getting good and getting creepier than ever. So far in the beginning, the book is kind of boring. The whole time I was like, ooh, and then, ooh, and then, but overall, it's like, so and so. I love how it's a coincidence that I picked the Institute in tandem with The Shining because the kids there, Danny, and the kids in the Institute have psychic abilities. I don't know. I just think it's a really nice coincidence. By the way, I don't understand how Joey managed to read this book over and over again because this book has a lot of big words, a lot of words that I don't know of, and Joey is like,
Everything else in this production of Our Town was simply terrible. Joey Tribbiani was abysmal.
hello everybody, I am done. And is The Shining a good book? Yes. Is it scary? Yes. However, I've read better, I've read scarier, and way shorter too. Y'all Stephen King fans are gonna hate me for this, but I don't like it. It was alright. I mean, in the beginning, it was like fine, and then it's so boring. And then in the climax, it's like it's getting really good. But you know, at this point, I was semi skimming, and then the end is like, whoa. Like I like the ending; it's really good. But overall, you know how good food is good because it's cooked slowly. I feel like that's what The Shining is. The thing is, I am famished. I have only so much patience, so I couldn't wait. The pacing in here is so painfully slow. Even the climax, like I said, it was good, but the whole time I was like, okay, get on with it. Don't get me wrong though, this book is creepy. Like if it happens in real life, hello, haunted hotel. Like if it happens in real life and I were there, I would also have PTSD. I guess the reason why I loved The Institute and not like The Shining is because I had so much high hopes for The Shining. Like I imagined The Shining as this really good and scary book, and I would have loved it and be so freaked out by it, like Joey, basically. But no. So if you're a Stephen King fan and you're starting to hate me because I don't like The Shining so much, number one, me too. As soon as I know how I think about this book, I was like, no. Like I tried to gaslight myself, because this book, a lot of people like this book. It's well known. It's like one of the most, if not the most popular, or one of the scariest, if not the scariest book Stephen King has ever written. Like I kept thinking maybe it's not the book. Maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't have enough brain cells to read this book. There are a lot of big words in this book, by the way. But number two, this will not be the last of me reading a Stephen King novel. Do not worry. So please recommend me a good Stephen King novel. I've heard many good things about 11/22/63, I believe. Yo, but that's a thick, thick, thick book. What, how many pages are there? 1,000? 1,000? Oh my gosh. You know what? If it's good, why not? Just recommend me any Stephen King book, horror or not. But you know what? I dare you to scare me. I dare you to make me lose sleep. So if you could recommend me the scariest Stephen King novel you've ever read, you know what? It doesn't have to be a Stephen King novel. Just recommend me the scariest book you've ever read. Show me what you got. Let the games begin. I will see you in the comments. Okay? This is gonna be exciting. I can't wait to see what you have. Okay, bye.